My name is Valerie Quinata. I work with Genesis 10 and New Journey AI, and we're here today to talk to Sandra James. She's the CEO of Private Eyes. We're going to talk a little bit today about background checks, the process that background checks take, why it's important to have a good background check process, both for you as a candidate and for your potential employer, and a little bit about what we can do to try to alleviate some of the problems that can occur sometimes with background checks. Okay, so good morning, Sandra. Thank you so much for taking this time today.
Good morning, Val. Thank you for inviting me.
If you'd like, why don't we take a second and have you just introduce yourself and your company?
Sure, I'm Sandra James, and I'm the CEO of Private Eyes. And we provide background checks to our customers across the nation, and our core value is making a safe workplace possible.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. I think one of the things that we wanted to talk today about was getting a little bit of an overview about why people need to understand what a background check is about. So my first question is going to be, could you talk just a little bit about what background checks are and how they are important to companies?
Oh, absolutely. So a background check verifies that the candidate has the credentials that they stated. So it's going to verify anything. So it could be a basic background check that is doing criminal records, a social trace, sex offender search, or it could be more in depth that's going to do license verification, all of those original searches, but then employment and education, professional references, credit report, depending on the position you're hiring for.
Okay. And I think one of the reasons why we wanted to do this today is that we're finding that more and more people entering the job market or maybe changing positions for the first time in a while have not really come into contact with background checks very often. Sometimes there's a perception when we talk to candidates that clients don't actually run background checks. They may say they do, but then they don't actually get any questions when they are asked to accept a position. Today, I think we're finding that the majority of clients not only request background checks, they require it as a condition of employment. Could you speak a little bit about why our clients have an expectation around background checks today?
Oh, absolutely. My company's 22 years old, and 22 years ago, not every company was doing background checks. But today, with the violent acts that have happened across America, whether it's in a school shooting or whatever has happened, has really impacted businesses that they want to make sure that they're hiring the right people so that they can keep their employees, their vendors, their clients all safe. And so it's just, and our population is growing, right? So sometimes it used to be 22 years ago, you'd be like, we don't have a problem with background check. We don't need background checks. We know everyone we're hiring. Well, there's no way that you could know everyone today. Even if you're a small business, you're still going to come across people that you've never met before. And so by doing a background check, you're verifying their credentials and you're able to eliminate risk at work for everybody that's involved with your business. And so it's really become a best practice, whether you have 5 employees or 100,000 employees. Most companies are doing some sort of a background check today.
Okay, and thank you for that. I think key to what you've said here is that it mitigates risk. And
Yes.
it mitigates risk on a number of levels, whether that risk is about violence, whether that risk is about a financial potential for financial criminal behavior. All of those things are risk mitigators that our clients are interested in lowering by getting a background check. And so they've learned over time that background checks result in lower risk for them as a company. And so it's become, as you said, something that is just a standard. It's a requirement today.
Yes.
So first thing that we want to make sure that people understand is that if you're being told in the beginning of the process that you will need to complete a background check, they're not kidding. And if they tell you that if you do not pass the background check, you will not receive an offer, again, they're not kidding. There's not a lot of room for negotiation about this. There definitely is not room for you to say, well, I'm just going to put down what I think is right and then we'll fix it in the mix. If your background check is not accurate, then you're perceived as the potential for not being honest. And that honesty is something that's very important to clients today, again, because it mitigates risk for them. What do you think about that?
Oh, I just agree, Val. It's so important that you put down that you're honest and that you put down what you do. And whether it's, something that you mentioned when we talked before, Val, is like someone might put a position where they were paid cash, and that position doesn't need to be on the background check because we can't verify it. Or if someone has an internship, if they weren't paid for it, they need to put that it was an unpaid position. So it's really important that you're really clear about what you put on your background check and that we can verify it. There's some companies that apply to an automated system, and if you don't put that employer on there and we get it through an automated system, that's another opportunity where it might look like you falsified something. Why did you omit something? And that can prevent you from getting the job of your dreams. So you really want to make sure that the information that you put on your background check we're going to be able to verify it and that it's accurate and complete. That's just really important. And back to risk, we have customers who've used us for 22 years and they've been able to validate that they've had less workers' comp claims, violent acts at work, different internal security cases that they had to investigate because they have a background screening program.
I agree with you so much on that, Sandra. And so, one of the points that we wanted to talk about today was helping people understand a little bit about how background checks work. So, the process starts with a resume, and then it really begins when there is an offer, but it starts with that resume. Can you help us understand that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, today, what's a best practice is that most of the time the candidate will get a link and they'll fill the information out for their background check and it'll have all the compliancy forms. And if you've given a resume to the recruiter that you're working with or the HR person, you need to make sure that your resume is in line with what you complete for the background check. So you want the two documents to match. And why would you want the documents to match? Because if you're looking at a Val, then you're going to say, why is this information not consistent? And it looks again like you're falsifying the information. And you might not have meant to intentionally, but you just thought that's not important. I'm going to leave it off. If it's on the resume, you need to make sure it's aligned with what you complete on the background check. Even if the background screening company doesn't get a copy of your resume, we're going to complete everything that we need to based on the package that the client requests from us. And then we might find something that's not aligned with what's on your resume. But the person you gave the resume to, that you started the process with at the company that you really want the job with, they're going to compare the two documents, the background check that's complete and the resume. So the two they have to be the same. So it's really important that you take the time. And, I had somebody tell me today, well, I haven't updated my resume for a long time. And so should I just send it to you? And the answer really is no, you should take the time to update it so that it can be the same as what we verify on your background check. So, some people are moving fast and think, well, I'll just put my resume out there. That's not really going to help you in the long run because you might get the job offer, but then they might not be able to keep it because something doesn't line up and it looks like you intentionally falsified something, even if you didn't. And so the documents have to match up. It's so important, Val.
Okay, perfect. And the third leg of that stool, all right, is the actual source of truth documents that you, as the background check company provider, are using to verify that the information on the background check authorization form is correct. So the three legs of the stool are your information that's on your resume, the information that you submit in the background check authorization form, and the verifiable records that the background check company goes to check in order to confirm and verify.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so the verifiable documents that we use is we're going to actually go to your employer and verify the dates of employment that you had. We're going to verify the date that you graduated. So, that graduation is something that somebody just said to me today. Well, I put on my resume that I graduated, but I'm not done. I have to go back and get a credit. I walked and I got the, but I'm not done. I still need a credit or I need an internship. Then don't put you have a degree because we're not going to be able to verify it. And so, it's really important that the information is accurate. Again, with employment, if the dates are not accurate on the employment, and it could be that you can't remember in 2017 if you started in May or September. If you put May and it's off 3 months or 6 months, you may not get the job because there again, it looks like a falsification. So we call it a discrepancy. Whenever there's a discrepancy on the report, it could be dates and time, could be that you said you have a diploma and you do not. Those are things that will have a company typically not hire you.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to state for the record here, I just want to be clear here. It never pays to state that you have a degree that you do not have.
Yes.
A falsified education is not just, I said I had a degree and I didn't. It is, I said I had a bachelor's degree in computer science, but I've really got a BA in liberal arts. It's the same thing to the background check company. It is a discrepancy that can cost you the position, right?
Exactly.
So you need to be accurate. And anytime that you are concerned that maybe the type of degree that you have or the fact that you actually were only one internship away from getting your diploma, but you actually didn't get your diploma, talk to your recruiter about those things up front. They can have those types of conversations with your potential employer up front. It's when you don't tell them and they find out through the background check process that you are very likely to lose your position or lose the opportunity.
And you know what, Val, you're so right. I just think that it's so important. And I think we need to let candidates know, because I don't think that it's always intentional that somebody does this that causes a discrepancy. But it's such a bummer when they don't get the job that they have the offer for. Sometimes they've already given notice at their other job, or they didn't have a job and they were so excited to start it. And then the offer you can't do it. You can't hire them. So I just think it's so important that candidates know these details. It's so important so that they can make sure that they do get the job of their dreams.
Completely agree. And that's one of the reasons why we are creating this video. Just a quick video to try to help people understand. Number one, background checks are real. They are not something that somebody says just to make sure you tell them the truth. They are real. Number two, they are a pattern of matching the information on your resume to the information that you submit in the background check authorization form to the verifiable records that the background check company uses to verify. The next is just an understanding of if there is a problem, when something goes wrong, what can people do? What are the most common errors that people have in their background checks, and what can they do about them?
Well, since we're talking about education, I think that's a good thing to use as an example. Occasionally, we'll verify with the school that someone doesn't have a degree, and then they'll contact us and say, but I do have a degree. I can send you a copy of my diploma. When they do that, then we would send it to the school and verify it's a legitimate document. With today's technology, anyone can create a document. So know that the background check company is going to verify any document that you receive. But that's something that can be done. Dates of discrepancy on employment. I really want to add that sometimes someone might say, I worked for LinkedIn, and then we call LinkedIn and they don't have them, but it's because they worked for maybe Genesis 10 at LinkedIn, right? And so you have to be clear and tell us if it was through a different agency, because LinkedIn won't actually have that record, even though you were there, but you were through Genesis 10, right? So I think that's really important as well. Now, but if that's the case, and we say we verified that LinkedIn, you never worked there, you could contact the background screening company and we would re-verify who you worked for at that time. And we could say on the report that they worked for Genesis 10 at LinkedIn. And I'm just using that as an example, of course. But I think that that's really important because we see that a lot today with a lot of people working as contract employees or temp employees and that kind of thing. We do see that a lot where they put where they actually worked, but that wasn't who they got their paycheck from. And I think that's an important detail. If there's anything that comes up regarding anything on criminal record or anything, any kind of discrepancy or dispute that you have on your background check, you can always contact the company that completed the background check, and they should, within a short period of time, correct whatever's there. And if they can't correct it and they re-verify it and it's accurate, then they still have to let you know. We do it by the phone and in writing both, to let them know if a change was made, and then we would update the client as well. And we would communicate it to the client that there was a change. So it is possible to fix something if something does go wrong, but it depends on what it is. If it's something that we can't verify, the report would remain the same.
I think that's an important point as well, is that the background check results are unchangeable.
Right.
You can go back, you can dispute them, you can dispute a criminal record, you can dispute a driving record, you can dispute a credit check, you can dispute these things, but it takes time to do. And in the interim, the employer will not hire you, because what they have in front of them is a background check form that states issues that are out of compliance for them.
Exactly. And that's
Yes.
so well said, Val, is that it's the compliance of each company. Each company has a policy around what they can hire, what criteria they're going to hire for, and what they're not. And so it depends on the company. And so everyone's compliance, depending on what their industry is, might be different. If you're hiring a doctor, you certainly want to make sure that they have the credentials of a doctor, right? I mean, any of us that were going to have an operation would want to know that that doctor was verified before he came to that hospital or to that medical center, right? So that we know we're getting the best care. We would want that for ourselves or for anyone in our family, right? So
Yes.
that's why we do background checks, is we want to make sure all the credentials are accurate. And so it's really up to you as the consumer or the candidate to make sure that your information is complete.
Perfect. And so one of the things that we do here, and that will be available to anybody that's watching this video, is a document called a resume application worksheet. And it works the same way as a vaccination or an immunization record. It is something that we strongly recommend that you fill out one time. Take the time to memorialize your addresses, your past addresses, your employment. Call your former employers and ask them, what do you have as the record of my start date and my end date? And then put it in this document. Get your transcripts and get the exact name of your degree, the type of the degree, the year that it was conferred, and add that, memorialize that into this document. And then anytime that you send out a resume or complete a background check authorization form, you go to that original document and use that same information over and over again. One of the things that we want to share with people here today is that we want everybody to get hired. You want everybody to get hired.
Yes.
This is the outcome that we want. And one of the things that you can do for yourself is create competitive advantage by having a thoughtful, accurate resume that matches your background check authorization form, and that matches the verifiable documents that the background check company is going to review. Once you have created that for yourself, you've put yourself ahead of the pack. Artificial intelligence, keyword searches, they are not going to weed you out because there aren't discrepancies in your resume. You've now made yourself stand out as a candidate who is hireable. And companies don't really want to spend a lot of time on candidates that they then will not be able to hire. They want to work with candidates that they will be able to complete the process with successfully. And one of the ways that you can ensure that is to just make sure your data is accurate.
Yes. And you know what, Val, I really love the document that your company created. I think that it's so helpful for the candidate to know that they can have this. I mean, just like, if you got vaccinated, you're going to have your card. If you're going to travel out of the country, someone's probably going to ask for it at some point, right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with that. But with this resume sheet that you have that has the information on it, once you take the time to put it on this document, and I don't know why someone didn't think of it before. I think it's such a great idea. I mean, once you put your information on here and you have this document and you can keep it on your phone, you can keep it on your PC, wherever you need it. But then you just pull back to that whenever you're going to change your position or apply for a new position. You have the dates the same all the time. Then every background check you have, some companies might do a background check to promote someone, or if you transition, or if they get acquired, you might have a background check done on you. So there's many reasons you might have a background check done in your future, but you'll always have the information be accurate and you won't have to go digging for it. So I think your sheet is just an amazing idea. I love it.
Okay. Well, we think it's great too. We want to help people get jobs, and we think over the next 12, 18 months, it is going to be a crazy hiring market right now. So anything that people can do to put themselves out in front with something as simple as this, we hope would be very helpful. Sandra, we thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Val, and have a great day.